On this video, I would like to continue what I have been doing in the book of Ecclesiastes, the Kohelet. I've been working my way through the book of Ecclesiastes, looking basically at the reading of the text in Hebrew, followed by brief commentary and a grammatical analysis. So we stopped at verse 18. We've been looking at the vanity of pleasure in chapter 2, human wisdom in chapter 1, pleasure in chapter 2, the vanity not only of pleasure then, but uh, wisdom and folly is that the wise person and the fool will all have to come to the same end, and that is facing the reality of death. And so, in a sense, what the Kohelet is saying, this is vanity. All is vanity. So now he comes to talk about the futility of labor or toil. And that's where I stopped last time. And I'm at chapter 2, and we stopped at verse 18. And so um, let me just continue then at verse 18. He's going to talk about the futility of toil or labor. So the text reads, V'saneti ani et kol amali she'ani amel tachat ha-shamish she'anihenu la'adam she'yeh acharai. That is, and so I hated all of my toil wherein under the sun, wherein I have, in that I must leave it to a man which shall be after me. And who knows whether that man will be a good man or will destroy everything I've labored for. So let me just, what he's really saying here in this verse, I have to leave it to someone, and I don't know who that person might be or what he might do with it. He might waste everything I've toiled to accomplish. So we continue, Visaneti from sana. It's the cow perfect first common singular from that root with a vav consecutive, or a vav, I should say, a vav conjunction. And so I hated, and it's emphatic, I hated kol hamali, all of my toil, in which I toil, or I have labored tachat ha-shamish. I have labored under the sun. Notice here, amal is the cow perfect third masculine singular, from amal to labor or toil. And why is that? That I must leave it to the man which shall be after me. She'anichenu la'adam she'yeh acharai. That I must leave it or cause it to be left. The root is nuach, to cause to rest or leave. It's a hifil imperfect first common singular from nuach, followed by a pronominal suffix, a third masculine singular, that I must leave it to the man she'yeh acharai, that shall be after me. Yeh is from the root hayah, the cow perfect third masculine singular. So I have to leave what I've toiled for, and who knows whether the man that will take it all will be a fool or a wise man. He continues that in verse 19. Umi yodea hechacham yeyeh o sachal vayishlat b'cho amali she'amalti v'shechachamti tachat ha'shamesh gam zeh havel. That is, and who knows? Who really knows whether he will be a wise man or a fool? And yet he shall have dominion or rule over all of my toil, wherein I have toiled, and wherein I have shown myself wise under the sun. Indeed, this is Havel. This is vanity. So who knows whether it'll be a wise man or a fool that will take over what I have toiled for? And notice here, Yodea is the cow participle masculine singular from Yada, with a furtive pathak under the ayin, to make sure that we pronounce it. So who knows whether it will be a wise man, a chacham, or a sachal, a fool? Yeh is the cow imperfect third masculine singular from Hayat, and yet he will have rule over all my labor. Vayishlat bechol amali. Yishlat is from shalat, cow imperfect third masculine singular, to rule over, or to have rule over all my toil, wherein I have toiled. She'amalti from amal, the cow perfect first common singular, following the she, the relative pronoun, wherein I have toiled and I have shown myself wise, shechachamti, from chacham, to be wise, another cow, a perfect first common singular, that in which I have showed myself wise under the sun. Gam zeh havel. Indeed, this is vanity, or a chasing after the wind. Because I worked hard, I've shown myself wise, but who knows whether a fool or a wise person will inherit what I've done. That's his point. So verse 20 goes on. V'saboti ani leyaesh et libi al kol he'amal she'amalti tachat hashamas. And so, or as a result, I turned about to cause my heart, or to despair with my heart, to despair. Why? Concerning all the hard toil wherein I had toiled under the sun, in light of that potential result of a fool taking over everything that I had toiled for. So Visovati is from sabab, so double ayin root, the cow perfect, first common singular from sabab. So I turn, and I turn to cause despair. Le'ya'esh is a PL infinitive construct from ya'ash, to despair with my heart, or in my heart, concerning all the hard toil, al kol ha'amal, wherein I had toiled. Hamalti is the cow perfect first common singular from amal, to toil hard in hard labor under the sun. So I'm despairing because I work, and leave it for someone that might destroy and blow everything, or destroy everything that I've toiled for and I've worked hard for. And how often that happens in life. So then he goes on in verse 21, Ki yesh adam she'amalo bechokma uveda'at uvechishron ula adam shelo amal bo yitanenu helko gam ze hevel beruah rabah. Notice verse 21, for there is a man whose labor is with wisdom and with knowledge and with skill, and yet to a man who has not toiled in it, he will give it, or he will give his portion to that person. He will give, yet he will give him that portion, its portion. Gamzeh hevel beruah rabah. And notice here, I can work, he's saying, and I can use knowledge and wisdom and skill, and yet to a man who has not labored in it, he shall give his portion. In other words, he will enter into his portion, even though he didn't labor in it, for indeed this is vanity and a striving after the wind. Notice as we look at this, just real quickly here, Ki yesh adam she'amalo, for there is a man which his toil is in wisdom, bechokmah, and uveda'at knowledge, and with skill, uvehishron, and yet ula adam to a man shelo who has not worked in it, and amal here is the cow perfect, third masculine singular from amal, who has not labored in it, yitanenu, he shall leave it, or he shall give it, he shall leave it for his portion, that is, for the man that has not worked in it. Yitanenu is from natan, it's a pay noon verb, where the noon has assimilated by progressive assimilation into the tav, causing a doggish forte. It's a cow imperfect, third masculine singular from natan, followed then by the pronominal suffix third masculine singular. So he shall, who has not labored, he shall leave it, his portion. And this is from, if we would break this word down, yin tenen hu became yit tenenu, with the doggish and the tav by progressive assimilation of the noon of the stem, natan, and nu from enhu, the hay of the prefix, going back into the noon by regressive assimilation, going back to the noon and causing a doggish forte. So he shall give him his portion, or give it his portion. That is, to the man that is not labored, he shall leave it or give it for his portion, even though he didn't labor in it. Gam ze hevel beruah rabah. Indeed, this is vanity and a great evil. And then finally, he concludes by saying, Ki me hovela adam becho amalo uve ranyon lebo shehu amal tachat ha-shemesh. For what has a man, or what is there to a man in all of his toil and in the striving of his heart, in which he has toiled under the sun, in light of this reality that he's been talking about. And so what is there? Hoveh is a cow participle masculine singular from Hava. For what is there, or what that is to be, what remains, or what is there for the man in all of his toil and in all of his striving, or the striving of his heart, wherein he has toiled under the sun. And then Amal again is just your cow perfect, third masculine singular to toil. Ki, in spite of all that he's done, he's leaving it to an unknown future, unknown use by someone that might destroy it all. Ki ho yamav makhovim b'ha'as inyano gam b'layla lo shachav debo gam ze hevel hevel hu. That is, for all his days are pains, machovim. That is, he's worked. His days are full of pain. That is the man who has worked so hard. V'ha'as, and not only full of pain, and his occupation and vexation is his inyano, his occupation. What he's done has brought vexation. Gam balayla lo shachab, even at night, his heart could not rest or did not rest. In other words, he couldn't sleep because he was worried about what he was doing, about the result of his toil. And shachab, by the way, is just your cow perfect, third masculine singular from shachab. Indeed, this is hevel, gam ze hevel hu. And indeed, this is vanity, or like a striving after the wind. So, to summarize the thought of these verses, here is a man who has worked hard, he has worked wisely, but the fruits of his toil could easily pass into someone who's in error, who will not deal wisely at all, but will destroy everything that this first man has labored for. So that's why he's saying toil can also prove to be hevel, or vanity or transitory.